Micro Center of Charlotte, North Carolina. Sketchy as hell street, South Street, full of homeless and vagrants. That's Micro Center.
You have your garbage. We need this card.
5,
Right?
2 gigs, 50. 8 gigs, 80. That's real cheap. These are 90. These are 98 on Amazon.
Did you find what you needed?
So like that one. Look how expensive that is. This one.
Buy a bigger case.
This one.
Can you move out of the way so they can get out?
This is our purchase. That was the checkout line. October 1, 2019. Here's the bio. Tried to update it, and there's a chance it bricked the system. The BIOS would not take. This is Ncase M1 with this expensive upgrade for a top-mounted Panasonic DVD Blu-ray reader writer. Never cleaned this in the 4 years that she was at college. This system contains this is an Ncase M1, I think version 2 or 3 or something like that. This is a Gigabyte X570 Aorus Pro ITX Wi-Fi motherboard. I paid $220 for in December 2019. It has a Ryzen 7 3700X. It's an 8-core, 65-watt CPU. Contains Crucial Ballistic Sport LT 3200 MHz DDR4. 2 times 16 gigabytes, 32 gigabytes total. Contains NVIDIA Founders Edition 280 GPU. Boot is an Intel 660p NVMe. Currently Windows 11 OTSC Internet of Things, or was before I possibly bricked it with that BIOS attempt. The BIOS came out in August. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. For storage, it also has a 2 terabyte inland NVMe additional. Again, a Panasonic UJ167 optical drive, and the cooler is a excellent Noctua NH-U9S plus an extra 92mm fan. It has an ID cooling RGB thin fan. It's a side exhaust right here. RGB, fancy RGB stuff. PSU is a Corsair SF750. It's a decent system. Proceed to take it apart now. First time since I put it together. Almost 6 years ago, it looks like. Magnetize this. I don't think so. Cable, fan cable. Yeah, no disassembly of these. The GPU These cables that come with the SF Platinum, is it SFX cloth braid. Founders Edition 280 can come out. And that's what makes it. There was a plastic filler that was preventing me from pulling it out. This plastic filler in a DP port. Now we can. Beautiful GPU card. Now hold the fan blade down, blow it off. Like that. Hopefully I won't break any of the elements. But we'll get the extra fan on well otherwise. I'm going to leave in this extension for the DWF fan and just move the fan. Into it, I'm going to wipe it. Perhaps. Try not to cut myself. But I'll just let this one hang. Hopefully that the heat sink of the cooler may come off. How dry will be the paste, I don't know. Yeah, this is the genius of the Noctua mounting system. Not coming off easily, which means crackling off now. Bad news, that came off in a very bad way. This is why your thermal paste bent the pins. Not much damage done. This is the 3700 CPU. The thermal paste is dry as a bone. That's exactly what you don't want happening. I'm just using some wet ones to let's look at it obliquely. In line, there are any obvious bent pins. Nothing obvious there. Rotate rotate clockwise. Nothing obvious. Rotate clockwise again. How about the center? There's some disturbances there. Rotate clockwise once again. Look from the back. So no obvious bent pins. Okay, so it looks pretty good. I'm going to, here's a 5900. What I got at Micro Center for $249.99 plus tax. 5900 XT, 4 more cores, 16 core, 0.8 max boost. It's a lower base clock, 3.3 than the 5900. The extra cores can be useful in rendering, which is the primary purpose of me upgrading. I'm allowed to return it within 15 days, I think, to Micro Center, but I have to drive 3 hours to Charlotte to do so. Returning it really isn't not a Ryzen. Tiny little triangle. And I can see the motherboard, AM4. Dropped it in. I'm going to use NX6 Arctic. These are supposed to last longer. For now, let's go back. Motherboard is bricked. There's a chance I have to redo this all over again. Consider removing the bottom fans. GPU. May have to just live with higher temperatures. To have bottom fans, I would have had to use removing these first, because it will give me some room. These are nice fans, RGBs. WD Black, Western Digital SN850X, 7300 megabit per second, 4 terabyte Gen 4 NVMe. Asus Prime 5070 Ti. Is it 2.5 or 3 slots? It's the time we remove the NVMe, which I will have to very carefully remove. Bending any pins or damaging anything. Using a little metal pry bar, which might be dangerous. Might be better off with a plastic spudger, but this must be screwed down right here. Very tight. Yep, it was screwed down. Tons of dust on this thermal pad. Look at that. This thing must die now. So 660 series, a bad choice for boot. The time I built it, I got a deal on it. 5 years ago, these were very expensive. Now a far superior one here. It's far cheaper. Now heat pads on. Remove this extra fan header. No fans at the bottom. Now, fans on. No other intake. Zip tying the fans, unfortunately. So it looks like that. Now, unboxing. Presentation. Sticker peel. May not fit. Decent chance this isn't gonna fit. By only taking this whole case apart. This control panel will not fit, will it? And it did. And it did. But just barely. Just barely. I should have plugged that in first. So each of these fit into the CPU. It's a massive tangle of stuff. Will it fit? May not. May not fit. This one's going to be difficult because you need 3 rails of power. I'm going to need possibly a custom SSF. I'm going to have to look at my PSU boxes upstairs. So I was able to track down this piece, took it out of, or took it from another ITX computer I have, because it is an ITX. Yep, there it is. Much more of a thrash than I had hoped for. These things are like that, so I'll be back. I have to go with the fractal case.
Company now, they're really making it. A lot of room for making space, but hopefully, look, I remember rally, 20 years ago was too many hedge books out, but the miners were hedged because it had been down at $200, $300 for so many years. Everybody assumed that it really couldn't get above 400.
And shout out to the Germans and the rat control, which is the nickname they're giving to the breaking of encryption in the EU that you're not allowed to have in a number of other EU states, against this, or at least it kind of felt like, just looking for a headline. No, that is being paid by the government for various things, but seem to figure out a way to, or hopelessly corrupt politics happening everywhere. They blame the usual suspects here, but don't. I remember in Florida they busted a drug ring. The apps, supposedly they disappeared. They don't disappear. They proved that in that home. It's going to be too much of a shock.
War demand dollars, globalization with the emerging markets, and just the never was all of these loans that were due the buyers, the sellers, on say 72 to where it has been more recently hovering. In one of those things that can impact food, especially more recently, we talked about August going into September where we are today, a lot. When you get the deterioration of the labor market, so you might start with the probabilities, with the higher probabilities, Fed cut not by 50, so not going to be a huge trying to say. In fact, and say, all you guys are off vantage, but interest rates going up slightly, and we're going to buy, close to where we. Let's see, yeah, kind of that same thing. Look at the labor market. That's the biggest indicator. So who's right, guys? I'll let you be the judge. Is it the retail sales? Is it the CME group? Or is it interest rates in the dollar? We'll have to see. I would. We've got a chart of the GDP sort of last month. We're up almost 22% when gold. Weird. And so he walked me through the business model. I'm like, I started working with them, and I think it's much more user gold leases they do. And you can actually choose which one. Now, Josh will put an explainer video where I go over the business model. Guys, go to the rest of your
this one will be entitled "Don't Freak Out." Okay, so nobody freak out. That's one that's manifest, and I thought the coastal event described in some detail problems here in Washington State. Well, the real problem for me at the time was, and even now, because it intrudes on the action state, and it caused a couple of rivers to have very dense and obviously has minerals on years that maybe if we're going to have enough. Okay, so it's on the surface had to rip apart because it's expanding from the middle out, so it's like growing from the middle out. That's the current state that we have. Before carbon dioxide, blah blah blah, right? But the leading indicator, so it always follows what you say. So if we were sophisticated enough to be able to measure the existing curve, so this shit characteristic of water, but they depend on underlying distinctions. And water is the basis for all kinds of fluids that are liquid only because the water allows that to exist. You see this with atoms that we call water. This crystallized form that's not an ice that occur from those, from that fluid. It's a very complex fluid. They change out, you get like all of the aerosolizing hydrocarbons that occur in that natural gas, methane, etc. Right? It is, but I don't define it as that. I'm going to go into mercury experiments later on. The nature.
And it's nice. Dollars, as you might know. If there's digital currencies, one country. So why would anybody use a system where they're going to end up? It could be that amount. Gold tax also. Gold is a larger holding than U.S. Yeah. So we've seen that, and that's going to continue. And I think at some point, gold will be reincorporated backing. In today's world, the gold price will have to be money supply or America. It's the treasury.
Yeah, the treasury. Yeah, that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. An insane number.
Направление отчетливо демонстрирует, они очень хотят решить, начинать с стейблкоинов. США, они его загоняют в облако.
Where are you going to put land is disappearing from foreign central banks? And I always thought treasuries.
That's right.
I totally feasible because America did. What did they do? They first confiscated, asked suggested that they told. Why would we do that again? Stuffle dollar scheme that they set up in 1970. Arabia, UAE are part of the dollars. You need dollars, and so that there's a demand. And I think I think that's exactly what
Their summits, notably,
have to be thinking about.
as long as there's long-term gain.
But his law creating a manufacturing economy in the United States hard enough. But I don't get this 3D chess. They're driving people out of the U.S. basically.
But I'm not sure I believe it.
The Treasury side and the Federal Reserve needs to grow worse, expanding the divide between asset owners and lower-income Americans. The Fed must regain since everyone else. I'll let you comment on every single one of those points. I find the last statement ironic. The Fed must regain its independence while at the same time.
With the exception of that last statement, I agree 100%.
Okay.
100%. Everything you said until that last statement, 100%.
The Fed is responsible for creating the inequality that we're seeing in the U.S., which then has its own repercussions. The social unrest, the polarization of the two parties, all of the crazy, like, people don't have a grasp of how we got here. And, obviously politicians will blame all sorts of things.
The moment of test. LEDs are on. LEDs are running. GPU fans are running. Posts. Keyboard unplugged. So I've copied all the files from the ROG Strix X570i gaming driver and tools and BIOS onto this. I renamed the BIOS. Now I've test the front. First step will be upgrade BIOS from 3402 2021 to disabled. Post it.
but they don't see them, and so now he's become lizards. I don't find them adorable. But go on.